So we just celebrated the fall equinox, but it still feels like summer outside. So today I'm sharing with you my 2 favorite coffee recipes for this time of year. And here's a hint, they have nothing to do with pumpkin. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I am Ashley and today I am sharing with you one of my current favorite ways to drink coffee. As you probably have picked up from watching my channel, I love to drink coffee. I typically drink warm coffee, or hot coffee rather, in the morning, but in the afternoon, especially when it's hot, I love cold coffee. Now, for our recipe, we are using cold brew coffee. I am going to show you how to do that right now. To make cold brew, you will need a cold brew filter and a container. I'm using an old Tang container, which is really fun. We're going to fill up our filter with ground coffee. I like to use a lot and make a really strong cold brew, and that ends up being about half of the filter full. Then we will top our filter and coffee with water. Once you've reached the top, or as much water as you would like to put into your coffee grounds, you're going to cover this and sit it in the fridge overnight, or at least 12 hours. But if you don't have cold brew, don't worry about it. You can just take brewed coffee and put it in the refrigerator, and it's essentially the same thing. The thing I love about cold brew over hot brewed coffee that has been cooled is the cold brew coffee is actually less acidic, so it just leaves a really good taste in your mouth. Now, for this recipe, we will have our base of cold brew, and then we need a few other ingredients. We'll need heavy whipping cream, a little bit of milk, some maple extract. You can choose to have some extras like cinnamon or cloves and or cinnamon sticks, which make it a little fun, but these are not necessary. And of course, you can decide on the sweetener that you prefer. I am using maple syrup in this. You could use honey, you could use a granulated sweetener. The reason I'm doing maple syrup, one, because our drink is called maple cold foam, and I thought that would add a fabulous touch to it, but because it's just what I had for today's recipe. A traditional cold foam is actually made with skim milk, but around here we buy whole milk from a local dairy farm. So we are going to modify your typical cold foam recipe. First up, we're going to take our cream and whip it. Okay, as you can tell, I stopped the cream before it became like your typical whipped cream that would have the stiff peaks. It's kind of a soft cream, and at this point we'll go ahead and add our maple extract, our maple syrup, and our whole milk. This will keep it from getting fully whipped like your typical whipped cream consistency, and keep it more on that cold foam, softer bubbles, but just a really good creamy, foamy top for your coffee. The exact measurements I'll leave in the show notes below. I am using about 1 teaspoon of maple extract. You might want to play around with it and see if you prefer a little more or a little less. We'll whip this one more time just to kind of incorporate everything, and then we're just about done. Okay, as you can see, this is a messy process, so you might want to keep that in mind when you get started or use a higher bowl. I just wanted to make sure you guys could see into my bowl while I was working. Okay, so we are just about back to that soft whipped cream state, and it is not overly firm, which is really good for your drink. Okay, this drink comes together really fast and we're just about done. So we're going to assemble it now. First, you'll need a glass of ice. You're gonna want to fill that up with your cold brew or chilled coffee. And then we're going to dollop our cold foam on top of our coffee. This part you do want to do with care so that the cold foam does stay right up on top. And as you see, I'm pouring it in, and you can kind of see what's happening in there. Okay, we're not going for perfection here, it's just delicious. Okay, fill that up as much as you like. I like a nice heavy layer of foam on top, almost like your cappuccino. I'm a fan of those. You could just do a little bit if you want, or keep going if you want more. I like to make it extra fancy by putting a little sprinkle of cinnamon on top. But of course you don't have to do this. And color contrast with some cloves. And then the cutest thing is a cinnamon stick. There you have it. A maple cold foam. I'm gonna grab a straw and take a sip. Now, of course, I like to stir it a little before I drink. Recipe number 2, you will need some boiling hot water, milk, instant coffee. I am using decaf because my future coffee drinkers are wanting a fancy treat for this afternoon. Again, you'll need a maple extract, maple syrup, or your sweetener of choice, cinnamon, cloves, and cinnamon sticks for your garnish. Okay, so our second recipe that we are working on is maple whipped coffee. This was pretty popular maybe a year or so ago. I don't remember now. When you take the instant coffee, you whip it and you put it on top of milk, and this is almost the exact opposite of the last drink that we made. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is measure out 1 tablespoon of instant coffee. Again, you can use regular or decaf. In this instance, I am using decaf because the kiddos don't need any more energy. But I'll never turn down a coffee buddy. Okay, 1 tablespoon instant coffee, 1 tablespoon hot water, and I just happen to have a half tablespoon. That's why I'm doing 2 of everything. And then 1 tablespoon of your sweetener. You can use a liquid sweetener such as maple syrup, honey, it works. You can use regular white sugar. I'm not sure about coconut sugar, as that tends to deflate like meringues or other things that you're trying to whip. So I don't know if coconut sugar works. If you know, let me know. Okay, for this one, you are going to whip until you get pretty firm peaks, just like if you were making whipped cream. I do not know the science behind this, but it is amazing and it's always a crowd pleaser and makes afternoon coffee feel very fancy. Let's assemble our drink. So we'll set this aside for a moment because we're going to work from the bottom up. We are going to be filling up our cup. You can use whatever size cup. I'm just making small portions for the kiddos, but you're gonna fill it up with milk. Now, again, because I'm making this for the kiddos, I'm going to add a little extra maple syrup to the milk to make it a little more fancy. You don't have to do this. You could just skip the sweetening part of the milk. I normally skip it, but it's up to you. So we'll put in about a half tablespoon of maple syrup and 1 teaspoon. Actually, I'm gonna do a half teaspoon because this is a smaller cup. We're gonna do about a half teaspoon of maple extract. Now, you could put your flavoring, your extract, into your whipped coffee and that would work as well. I just figure it might be nice to put it with the milk and the sweetener. So we'll give that a good stir. And then you're going to top that with your whipped coffee. Okay, we'll sit this, actually, I'm gonna sit this back off to the side together. Now again, if you want to put a little fancy, extra fancy on top with some sprinkle of cinnamon, you could do that, but you could totally skip this part. Cinnamon, a little color contrast with some cloves, and that's just adorable. And a cinnamon stick, which these do double as straws if you're really wanting to do that. And there you go. Now, over time, the coffee and the milk kind of come together. I tend to go back and top it off with whatever coffee I have left over as I drink through it. You can completely stir it, but your whipped coffee will deflate. So it's kind of fun just to maybe like go up and down. Okay, there you have it. My 2 fabulous fall drinks when it still is hot outside and no pumpkin. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. Do you want this?
Yes. Whoa, what's on top?
It is cinnamon stick and cinnamon. Do you want a straw for it? It's pretty strong. You want to?
I don't think that'd be so strong.
Here, you like that. If you want to stir it a little.
Okay.